Hey there, my fellow builders, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Sengoku Dynasty. Episode 17, Village Improvements. So providing security, unlike the other villager needs, is really easy to do. You just put one guard in your guard tower with like a reasonably good weapon, and generally one guard is enough to supply security for everyone, allowing us to expand our population even more without having to provide more services. So everything else has been a bit of a concern, right? Like to provide maintenance, I needed at least one stone miner and one stone mason turning the stone into chiseled stone. And for health, you know, I needed to mass buy chrysanthemum flowers and to have my herbalist turn that chrysanthemum into medicine. I guess it actually hasn't been that difficult, but it's not like super straightforward. Whereas with security, it's pretty straightforward because it's not that hard to supply the weapons yourself. Because they don't break their weapons very often. It breaks like maybe once a season. If you don't, however, have good weapons to supply for security, like if for whatever reason you've never interacted with iron, then it kind of sucks. Because if you don't have good weapons to give them, they don't provide a lot of security with bad weapons. Well, I was originally planning on cutting down bamboo until this axe broke, but the axe broke a little ahead of time. I was sort of hoping that one of those bandits gave me sake as a reward for killing him. Yeah, if you ask me, one of the biggest things that this game is missing, that because I'm just referencing Bellwright only because I played Bellwright on a marathon a few months back, is the enemies retaking regions. Like once you conquer a region, that's it. It's not dynamic. There's no forces to take that region back. You have to provide security to your village, but you never get attacked. That's what I would say is missing most, is the enemies taking revenge for your progress and fighting you, where you have to then defend against them. And that just isn't in the game mechanics. Oh, hello. I guess I killed you too. And I wish it was, because it would feel like the world would feel a little bit more lively. Because as it is now, it's a bit static, where you're liberating regions, but it doesn't feel like you're doing very much. Because liberating a region just gives you access to the strategic resources. It doesn't make you have to defend it or anything. It's pretty cool to see Quarry Village from a distance, though. So the biggest threat, the biggest mortal danger that my own villagers have is like not supplying enough food and beverages, or having the boars and wolves that spawn near Yadatsu like hurt them or whatever. But yeah, there isn't really any consequences. In fact, there aren't really consequences for not supplying the food and water, or food and beverages. It's like the worst that can happen is that they're unhappy and like threaten to leave. Alright, so now that we've killed a bunch of bandits, let's go back to building up Yadatsu. I was hoping that there'd be vendors here already, and there aren't. They might have to wait until tomorrow, till end of day. I'd like to put the guard tower like even higher up, So I'm going to move the mining station, the mining facilities, to be closer to the smithy. Come on. Bounding box. Maybe like this. Maybe a little triangle or something. Oh. I'm not really sure what's blocking it, to be honest. I don't see any deposits here. Buildings, yes, but not deposits. Oh, alternatively, I can move this lower. I can move it down this way. Because I don't need to run to the... Yeah, okay, this makes sense. I don't need to run to the mining post very often, so putting it down here is not of much consequence. In fact, the other one might go further down there as well. Could find a valid spot for it. It does need to be a flat-ish terrain. If I clear the ground a little bit, it should be valid. From a design standpoint, some of the buildings that don't make sense to have in your like heart of your town, I do like to put outside of town. Because I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to live like next to where they're quarrying stone or cutting down trees. That'd be noisy as hell. So now that I move that, I'm going to move the smithy a little bit so that it feels like it fits in more with the mining. There. And that gives me a lot more room to play with. As you grow and you don't want things to necessarily... What the hell? Oh, yeah, you were trying to sleep in the mining hut that I may have moved. So she's just like huddled in the snow. Sorry, lady. Alright, the guard tower is very simple. You just put a guard up there. So the guard tower also should have the armory storage near it. And the armory storage should also be near the smithy, because that's where you make weapons. So I have the smithy right here. And I'll put armory storage next to both. Maybe... like here. And this is the first time I'm building this building too, so there will be a Dynasty XP bonus. I'll need to plane up some more. Oh, actually, it probably won't be deciduous. I'll do conifer. One issue that I have is, that I'm going to run into is the tree cutters. Well, I could fix it pretty easily, but the tree cutters that are working in the riverbank region are getting premium conifer, but I don't own premium. How many? Actually, I have the coin for it. So what I'll do here is I'll unlock premium conifer as a wall material for the armory storage, and then plane up some premium conifer trees for that. Because the most of my tree cutters, most of the ones felling trees, fell premium conifer trees, but if I don't have the ability to build premium conifer walls, then I'm kind of screwed. Not an issue now, though. Bought the blueprints. I'm not too concerned about coin, because I have a lot of stuff to sell. So once I'm done with this, I can run into town and sell the bounties. Because it's 32 bounties will go a long way. So that's what the premium conifer walls look like. These walls look a bit different because they're reinforced walls, because this is supposed to be like a secured building, because it's where you store your weapons. So the premium conifer walls don't really look like this. I'd have to build a separate building to show you for sure. But with this building, that allows our guard to have access to weapons. So the purpose of all this is so that they have a weapon supply. I needed, 11 simple arrows to finish that? Let's go into the workshop and make some simple arrows. How do I have no vendors yet? Come on, move in. We're open for business. Where's arrows again? I thought it was other. Oh, here it is. Don't forget my log firewood balance. I have not. I'll double check that they have everything they need for tomorrow. Because they've already hit end of day today, right? I think. So that's the weapons store. So now that you've reminded me, I will check to make sure that they have the supplies for wood cutting for tomorrow. They don't. I definitely depleted the hell out of their wood. And we don't have a lot of wiggle room for heating, as you may have seen. Because we haven't had enough days being in the net positive to build up a real supply. So, there's some work to be done, let's call it, to rectify that. Okay. Well, if the traders aren't going to come to me, I guess I'll just have to go to them. They usually arrive overnight, so that doesn't surprise me in the least. So that's all of the bounties they can afford. So here's the paper trees that you can buy if you want to jumpstart your paper making. Or you can buy the pulp or whatever. There's a bunch, like, so here's the paper bark that you would need to turn into paper. It's rather expensive, which is why I don't do it until you can source it yourself, and that's true of like everything. If you buy the raw ingredients, the profit margins on processing those goods are just pretty bad. So it doesn't really make sense to make paper as an economic industry until you can source the bark yourself. Plus all the footwork of having to middleman up the supply sucks as a player, because then you just have to keep running around buying it, and that's no fun. With that said, I should have sake now. So let's go over to the brewery and check that out. So 39 cooked rice, 16 mixture, and 14 sake. So sake sells for a pretty penny, as you can see. 18 a pop. And the sake itself supplies 36 beverage need per sake. And to put that in perspective, because that's just a random number. Man, you are still stuck? Here, let me help you out. You're free! To put that in perspective, The water that we have is like 4 per water. Granted, water's really easy to obtain, but the sake is so much more effective. And then as far as medicine goes, because I did say that it was also used in medicine, let's check that out. For now, I might even prevent them from drinking sake, so that I can use it as a way to fund my village expansion. So I'll probably let's go ahead and do that. Beverages. Nobody drink the sake. But yeah, the little bit of sake that I just had added 504 beverage, which is a lot. That's the rough equivalent of one person drawing water from an advanced well a day. The other easy one to do is tea, but you only grow tea in the spring. So usually the land farms in the spring, I'll like grow a ton of tea. What was I going to show? Oh yeah, the sake. Yeah, let's do another batch. But because it just it's automatic and gets processed, and paper making works the same way as sake, where you just like put the materials in and it processes gradually over time. Actually, there's parts of paper making that don't work that way, but yeah. I was going to show the medicine. That's right. Totally got off track there. So when it comes down to medicine, I always miss my herbalist. We're almost out of actual herbs for the sickness meds, so this is a perfect example. Comparing 1-to-1, one anesthetic is 90 health made with sake and herbs, and one sickness medicine is 30. So sake and herbs is 3 times more effective than the sickness meds. The worry that I have here is being almost out of herbs is concerning, because I'm going to need to rectify that. And that's actually pretty easy to rectify. So for now, I don't want to make anesthetics for healthcare. So let's fix that lack of herbs problem. So jobs, forager. Wasabi counts as an herb, if I'm not mistaken. So put all of my foragers foraging wasabi instead of mushrooms, and that should fix that. It would make more sense to farm it, because water field farming wasabi is a lot more effective than foraging for it. But this is a stopgap measure. So then, my herbs should be fine. And one way to check that is to go to food storage. Wasabi is an herb, as you can see underneath it. So what it is will say below. So like millet is a cereal, mushrooms are mushrooms, chrysanthemum is a flower, fat is a consumable for candle making mostly, gobo is a vegetable, so on and so forth. So if you're wondering what things are, like canola, interestingly, counts as a bean. So you can make canola oil, but farming canola will help fulfill your bean. I mean, if it was up to me, I'd probably make soybeans, because I don't know what raw canola beans taste like, but yeah. So you can see what everything is in the screen for the type to try to plan out your meals. So knowing that I was almost running out of herbs for medicine, I'll just get a bunch of wasabi. So our medicine is like rubbing wasabi on your skin. That doesn't sound like a good way to provide healthcare, but whatever. This is medieval Japan. They don't know better. The amount of copper and tin and bronze I have is getting absurd. The thing is, do we have tools to match? Because I know that my my tool maker had room to make more tools, and I'm sort of curious if there's a lot of tools or not. So I moved tool storage over here, didn't I? It's, God, where did I put tool? Here it is. Alright, we have a bunch of extra adds, so I need to remove the second adds, but we are not keeping up with picks and axes, so let's fix that too. So, an extra axe, 2, 1 less adds. How many buckets do we have? If we have a bunch of buckets in storage, I'm going to assume that we're making enough buckets. I'm out of buckets? Oh, buckets actually might be general storage. Not a tool. Yeah, I have 16 buckets. Okay, so the buckets, when you make a bucket, use a bronze adds for the bucket. So, but only make 1 bucket a day. 4 axes a day. 3 pickaxes. 4 pickaxes, 4 bronze axes. So that should help. The other thing is, given that we have a bunch of stick, straw, and bronze in stock, I can just batch a few axes and picks to help out, so that we don't, bottom out of supply today. One of the other things that would be helpful, if I take a look at this bill here, is he's not using bronze tools to make this stuff. So I just made a bunch of bronze hammers. He's going to be able to queue up more work using bronze hammers. So I'm going to give away my bronze hammer right now. So now all of his tool making uses bronze. So his workload is less. Or more efficient. Because a wooden hammer is a production modifier of ×1. A bronze hammer is a production modifier of 15% gain. So there's a 15% gain here. It's maybe not enough to make 1 more full tool. But as we level up to like masterwork tools or steel hammers, it's a 50% bonus. But I did just give away my hammer, didn't I? Oh no, I still have a hammer. But my hammer's about to break. And I'm using a... yeah, so let's put my broken hammer away. I'm going to trade up to some of these like fresh tools. And then put these excess tools in tool storage, and then queue up all the people that use those tools to make sure they're using bronze tools. Essentially, I think what would make sense is if I took all of the stone tools out and just like sold them or scrapped them, so that nobody uses stone anymore, because they shouldn't. We're in the Bronze Age now. So carpentry, you're using bronze. Carpentry, bronze. Stonemason, chisel. Miner with a bronze pick. Hunter with this should be a... Oh, I don't have a bronze knife. Got it. Miner with bronze. Carpenter bronze. Yeah, it looks like actually bronze got rolled out all but one place. So now everyone's using bronze. That's good. Seeing that there was a lack of a bronze knife, I can fix that. Which I'm actually very surprised, because on the woodworking table here, there is a bronze knife in the bill. For just whatever reason, it wasn't getting made. So, I'll fix that myself. And it doesn't, I mean, it's not a lot. It's a 15% bonus. But the big advantage in my opinion, is not the 15% bonus. It's the fact that the tool itself will last a lot longer. It has a lot higher durability than the lower quality tools. So that's the big one, is that you're not grinding through tools that so quickly. There. So we get 2 extra fur, but I think in my opinion, the durability is the big one. So at this point, I am going to... This would be a lot easier to do if I had a vendor in town. But I think it's time to try to remove all the stone tools out of storage. God, why have vendors not moved in yet? I'll sell these to Aratani. And what do you want me to work on next? My last thing is, if you want me to build up the village, I will build another house to house a guard. Because that's the last thing that I wanted to do, is to add one more person and provide security for the village. So these, like, stone tools don't sell terribly. It's a bit Trump change, but it's not... It's useful in a pinch. Although these vendors around here, I filled their inventory, so they don't have space for anything. Cool. Actually, that wasn't terrible money. Certainly not worth farming that way, but pulling all the stone tools out of storage is a good idea once you have access to bronze. Once you've secured a reliable source of bronze, so that nobody uses bad tools in their crafting chains. The other advantage to this is, if I do run out of bronze tools, I will get an alert flag in the top left of the screen showing that someone lacks tools for work, alerting me that the production balance is off. Because that's, surprisingly enough, that's a really big benefit. So that you can, at a glance, know, oh, I'm not making enough axes per day, or whatever it might be. So the other thing I wanted to do is to make a little bit of money selling sake. So I'm retrieving all of the sake I've made so far. And I'm going to bring that over into town and to sell it. So the rest of the stone tools and the sake, and then work on whatever you guys want me to work on. Maybe I'll keep one sake as an offering to a temple, though, because it looks like you guys want me to explore points of interest. And I know the sake is a very common one to be offered up to for a temple offering or shrine offering. You can also build your own shrines. I had failed to mention that, but the player can construct shrines within the village, because eventually spirituality becomes a need. So yeah, I made this 20 stack sake sells for 360. It's not a ton, but like 360 is pretty good money. Pretty good money. And then the other thing is these traders, like if I wanted to add paper lanterns, I could buy like the oval paper lanterns or the oil lamps and add them as decoration to my village if I wanted to. Oh, there we go. Production needs for the end of the day. So now heating has gone up because we had enough logs. That's really good. I kept some of the sake. Beggars, do you have straw? Surprisingly enough, I don't want to set up the supply chain to supply my own straw. Yeah, they have a lot of grass. It's perfect. Buying 100 grass for 2 coin is like deal of a lifetime. Seriously. And then I know we were low on herbs, so I'm just going to buy garlic from him too. And I'm going to... actually, I'm not going to buy feathers. Yeah, so sake is rice, ice, koji mold, and water. Well, I'll go back to the brewery and double check, but I believe that's the production chain. The hard to acquire resource in that is probably the ice, because it only comes from like 2 regions, I think. Comes from the Central Plains region and the Riverbank region, and you don't want to supply it yourself as the player, because you'll just be mining ice all day long during the winters, and it's mind-numbing, pun unintended. So it's best to set up a village to get the ice automatically, because if you hook your ice miners up with good tools... I have 261 ice in storage here, and I supplied basically none of that. I bought maybe 10 of that, and that 10 has definitely already been incorporated into sake, for sure. Yeah, automation is the way to go for some resources, for sure. For mostly like the resources you get with an axe or a pick, or farming. God knows the player farming for everyone would be a horrible idea, because the amount of farming you would need to do to farm enough for people to subsist on would be just gross. So the rice boiling process requires firewood, rice, and water to make cooked rice. And then you take the cooked rice and you add koji mold, ice, and water to ferment it. And then you just stick that into filtration press. So firewood is the only thing that I hadn't mentioned. All right, explore points of interest. If I'm doing that, I am going to bring some flowers with me and some sake with me, so that I can make offerings, because that's... I can't remember all of the typical ones, but I know those are typical offerings. I think eggs is another one, depending on the shrine. I forgot all the shrine types. I don't have them memorized. The other thing I wanted to do is we are super low on straw. And straw is important for tool making. So I need to... Oh, good. I need to move that along. So if we run out of straw, we stop making bronze tools, and that would be terrible. So 10 of my straw immediately disappeared, because that 10 straw was going to become tools. Before I go check the logs, good call. Making sure that we're net positive for that. Oh yeah, I have plenty of logs in here. 10, 20, 30, 40... 55. Alright, we have a temple in our own backyard up here in Yadatsu. So let's go check that temple out. Oh, is this a bandit or a refugee? A refugee. Well, maybe I'll be back. So one of the other offerings is eggs, so if you see nest, collect eggs. Some of the points of interest around the world are shrines and lighthouses and things like that that require building as a special construction project. And the reward for those special construction projects is dynasty experience that aren't necessarily linked to land liberation. So some of the projects are obviously land liberation ones. So like Central Plains region requires a bridge, you know, but there might be other projects. So a good example of that would be here in the Sosoji region, the first region that we had. There is a temple here and a lighthouse here that requires repair or construction that isn't involved in the liberation of the region. And that's, some of those projects can give you a few thousand dynasty experience, like 2,500 or so. And that is a really good way to level up your dynasty level if you don't want to have to keep adding people. Because the other way to add dynasty experience is just to keep raising your population, but that adds the headache of all of the, the village management involved. Plus, the game simply doesn't run very well for really large villages. So that's so discovering some of those regional, or some of those projects would be really smart to do, because at the moment I have like 4 foragers that could very easily be hired as special project constructors instead. Because I can replace the foragers with just going into Aratani and buying some herbs. Right? Like, I could probably buy, I don't know, 500 wasabi on the cheap, instead of having them collect 60 wasabi every day per person. So, here's a shrine, and I just got the bonus. I'm trying to think. Let's go to this shrine. I didn't level up in my monk XP, but I'm close. Thank you for tuning in to Sengoku Dynasty, which originally streamed live on Twitch December 3rd. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow villagers.